Hello Internet. Today I'm going to be giving you a bit of a warning about the RTX 6000 Pro and the enthusiasts that can't resist the temptation of getting these things water blocked. Nothing inherently wrong with water blocking your GPU. What's inherent when it comes to water blocking your GPU is that these water blocks oftentimes do two things. Well, not oftentimes. Most of the time, the thing that the water block does is with the factory supplied incorrect thickness pads, they apply excessive pressure on the board, causing the board to flex, breaking the solder joints between the core and the memory chips, and between the board or whatever. That's one of the common issues with the water blocks. Second common issue with the water blocks is that the way that they are machined and how heavy they are, oftentimes they like to just shave off the components off the board. And this water block here is no exception. I do not know what water block this is. This is what it looks like. It doesn't have a brand or anything that I can identify it with. Well, what do you know? I found the box. So this is the brand. Bike Sky. Yeah, definitely a Chinese brand that probably existed for a month and then disappeared as if it never existed at all. They do this all the time. Release some kind of junk product, change their brand name, and just gone. It killed this RTX 6000 Pro. And it killed it twice. First time it killed it, it knocked off this coil. So I got that coil replaced. Customer paid for the repair. There were no other issues. Everything is fine and dandy. So I go ahead and I put it into the water block. I spent about an hour or two trying to figure out what pads are supposed to be there that will provide me, in my view, correct imprint of every component that's touching this, while spreading the thermal paste very evenly, indicating a good contact between the core and the cooler, as well as good contact between the pads and the components that they're supposed to be attached to without flexing or stressing the board. So that's the ideal situation. Originally, when the card came in, I got it fixed. Customer sent me a factory cooler as I requested, so I got the coil back on, made sure that everything works, and everything worked. So he paid for repair, everything went back, fine and dandy, covered with the warranty. And the first thing he does, he takes it out of the factory cooler, and then he puts it into here. And then what happens next is the exact same thing that happened in the very first place. That same coil gets ripped off the board. Thankfully, just the coil that gets damaged. The PCB actually survives. And the second thing that happens is another coil gets ripped off. And so here I am scratching my head. Why is it that after replacing this coil again, I'm getting the GPU crashing consistently? As soon as I run the memory test, crash. I run FarmArk, I run like a light load gain, works. Started looking around. Turns out a second coil was shaved off the board. And so, okay, that took a while for me to find. My fault, obviously. But I got that figured out. Soldered the new coil on there. Put everything on. Applied paste. Started putting the board inside of that stupid water block. And it won't fit. It just does not want to fit. And the areas where it lacks to fit are exactly in the areas of that one coil. And this coil here, most likely going to be hitting the corner over here as well. So this is exactly how the customer ended up breaking his $10,000–$15,000 GPU by insisting on putting it into the water block, knowing that the warranty is void the second you open the GPU. So once I figured this out, I know that it works. It worked with this coil broken off, but I couldn't run the memory test. But now that I soldered the coil back on, I can run the memory test, but I'm not testing it any further. There's really no need to test it any further. I know this thing works. I'm just not going to be putting it into the water block. And for that reason, no warranty. So customer paid twice for this repair. I guess people have money to burn. I'm not going to complain. So, but just a warning for the 6000 Pro owners out there who are thinking to put their it's probably going to be a $20,000 very soon card into a water block. Expect to pay a good amount of money to get it fixed twice. Hopefully this was educating. Goodbye.